So excited to have an opportunity to spend some time live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Welcome to this discussion or conversation related to careers and career wholeness. I do hope that people will join in and have opportunity for conversation with me. I am going to spend only a little bit of time today, but I really wanted to start going live a little bit more to talk about the different aspects of the peace wholeness model. For those of you who do not know me, I am Dr. Angela Crutchfield, and I have a model that I use as a part of my coaching services, but I want to share certain aspects of that today, but I want to give you a little background on me. I am a leadership consultant and I am focused on organizational culture change from a transformational human resources perspective. And that means I work with senior leaders of different organizations on cultural competence and being more focused, them helping them to be more focused on diversity, inclusion, equity, belonging, and being thoughtful about human beings and valuing people for who they are and what they bring to the organization, because that's what we want, right? When we go to work each day, we want to be valued for who we are and what we bring to the table. And leaders must understand that. That is something that I emphasize consistently in the consulting work that I do. So when we think about senior leaders and what they should be doing, holding them accountable is an important thing. So people like me in this space of being a consultant, that's what we're trying to do. That's not going to be my focus for today. So I coach those leaders. I coach and I train senior leaders and their direct reports on creating sustainable culture change to ensure that all people are valued and treated in a fair and equitable way in the workplace. Now, if you're in an environment where you're not being treated fairly or there are challenges and you're consistently seeing unacceptable behavior from leaders, give them my name. Say, hey, I know a consultant who could probably help you. I'll take that referral and gladly work with them. I have been a transformational human resources professional for nearly 30 years. And I have been very intentional in my career journey and have over the years merged my work in human resources with my other work life, which is being a lifestyle coach for women. I've seen many challenges over the course of my career in the workplace. I've been devalued, so I know what that feels like. I have been discriminated against. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like for people to put things on your name that don't reflect who you are, right? I know what that looks like. I know what that feels like. So I've found a way to incorporate that as a part of my coaching model. And my coaching approach is rooted in what I call peace, PESSCE. It actually is pronounced peace, but spelled differently. Again, PESSCE versus PEACE, but it's about having peace, right? And when we talk about peace wholeness, there are some key components of peace wholeness: physical, emotional, spiritual, social, career, and economic. I want to talk about each one of those before I go into the very specific details that we're going to look at when we start talking about career, which is one aspect of that. So to introduce peace, wholeness, I want to just walk through each one of those terms because I want to introduce peace, and I want to talk about specifically career wholeness today, and then give opportunity for any questions that people may have. I will be happy to share any support that I can give. I've been an HR professional for so long. I literally can do the work in my sleep. But all of the work has been from a transformational HR perspective. How do we train people more effectively? How do we lead and coach our teams better? How can we look at our organizations and assess what's going on and make significant organizational changes? Those are the types of things that I've done. And all of that is focused on human beings. So my work hinges on being thoughtful about how people are treated, how people are valued, how people are showing up in the workplace. So when we talk about peace wholeness, what do I mean? What is peace wholeness all about? Peace wholeness is a reflection of six what I call life streams that are common to most of us, to most people. That physical peace, that emotional peace, that spiritual, social, career and economics, or finances, using economics and interchangeable with finances. Within each of these life streams, in the PESSCE Wholeness model, there are a number of other considerations. When we talk about physical, how we take care of ourselves, how we take care of our bodies internally and externally. It could be about weight management. It could be about dental hygiene. It could be, did we go for our annual checkup, our annual physical? Any of those things can fall in that space of physical. For those of you who have been keeping up with me, I have been really focused in on that physical wholeness and doing it in a public forum as a way of motivating and encouraging. It's been a path I've been on for many, many years. However, being very vocal and sharing openly about certain things, it's just a time in life where we've got to be able to motivate and encourage each other to do better, to grow, to be whole, to find that place of peace. And if I can be of help to someone in this physical wholeness space, I want to do that. So that is why you see me squatting everywhere. So check out some of my squatting videos if you haven't already. I'm literally making sure that's built into some variation of a workout every single day, and trying to find time to record it and post it when I can. If I don't get it every day, I try my best to do it as soon as I possibly can. So I'm hopeful that it is helpful to other people. Second category is emotional. This also includes mental health. We all have mental health. I am currently the Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion for a behavioral health organization in Massachusetts, and I am very thoughtful about the importance of ensuring people give consideration to mental health. Mental health is not something foreign to any of us. Mental health is the same as us all having physical health. Some of us just may have challenges in that area where we deal with maybe anxiety or depression or other aspects that might show up that presents emotional challenges. We want to make sure, or behavioral health challenges, we want to make sure that we are thinking about our own emotional health and our mental health and what things we might need to do differently. We're not talking about that one today either, but there's also spiritual, physical, emotional, spiritual. With the spiritual piece, everyone, this is the core. Our spiritual wholeness has to be the core of everything that we do. It's at the core. You have to establish your faith. And I am not going to say you must be of one religious belief or one faith or some specific, practice. Find what works for you. Now, my lens is Christianity, and I'm going to always share that. I have no qualms about it. I have no denial of it. I'm going to forever speak about Christianity. However, I know not everybody's a Christian. If the world, we all were Christians, we would probably be in a different place. But that's my lens as a Christian. So whatever your religious belief, whatever your faith walk is, all I want to do is challenge you to establish that clearly, whatever that faith walk is for you, and let that be the undercurrent for your wholeness. Because if you're not walking in some level of faith, you're not going to find the strength that you need to be whole in the other 5 life streams. Core has to be spiritual wholeness. The next category that we're going to talk about today is that actually, we're not talking about that yet. The social piece. Social circles begin with self. All of us want to establish these social circles. Some people are so focused on social media, they think that's their social circle, and it's not. It starts with you individually being whole as an individual, building that circle out from there, including your family and then your close friends. That's your circle. Get that thing right, get that whole, and you will see major differences in your life. But we're not talking about that. We're going to talk about career, which is the C, And I think I think it's really important that we dig deep. So I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but I will tell you, career hinges on passion. And we're going to talk more about that as a part of this live stream discussion tonight. But you've got to make sure that you have passion for what you're doing in that career space and build up your capability to do whatever that is you're passionate about doing. So that means you might need to go to school. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then the last letter in the PESSCE model is the E, which is economic. Our financial wholeness. And we'll talk about that in another session as well. But we have to be whole financially. And I tell you, when you're not whole physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, career, it can impact your finances, because physically, sometimes we go spend too much money on fast food. Sometimes we spend money on exotic things that we don't need to spend money on because emotionally we are out of sync. Sometimes we are broken spiritually, so we send our money in for things that someone is falsely advertising or posting information about that's really not truly them being spiritual. It's them being a person that's after your money, and you're so broken that you think it's something that's really vital for your life, and it may not be. So those are some things to think about in that economic space. But today rather, we're talking about career wholeness. What does it mean to be whole in your career? And what I want to do is start by talking about career wholeness in general. What do I mean when I say that? When you focus on the whole person, who you are whole as a whole person, you have to consider all six of those life streams that I've been talking about. And career wholeness is one of those aspects. And it's going to reflect you being in the right role or right job or right position at the right time, making the right amount of money, right? When all of the components of your wholeness come together, you will have all of those things in alignment. Now, I'm sure many would push back and say, well, Dr. Angela, you don't understand. There are so many limiting factors, so many things that will keep me from being successful. My boss, which I don't even like that word, but my boss puts limits on me, or I haven't been afforded the same opportunities as other people. There's racism, there's sexism, there's misogyny, there's homophobia, there's xenophobia, there's religious discrimination, there's ableism, and the list can go on and on. And I get that. I get that 100% more than you know, because as a diversity and inclusion practitioner, I know those limiting factors all too well, and I know those limiting factors are there. But from a career wholeness perspective, I am talking to you about you, not about the limiting factors, because if you're whole, you're not going to allow those limiting factors to hinder you from going where you need to go, from being where you need to be, from growing in the way that you need to grow. So I'm not talking about the limiting factors today, and I'm not talking about the challenges that we face in the workplace. I'm talking about you and you finding your own wholeness so you can be as successful as you can be within the limits that you have in your own world. So as a D&I professional and an HR professional, as well as being a lifestyle coach, I want to try and help those of you who are employed or seeking employment to understand the work that you need to do, as well as the work that the companies need to do. I'm working that piece. Some of us are out there doing that day in and day out. But what are you doing that you can do differently to ensure that you are demonstrating career wholeness? It can't be a one-sided effort where the expectation is that the company needs to do something differently. They need to treat me better. Yeah, they do. And we're working on that. But what can you do differently? Can you do something different by going to work and being fully engaged in the work? Even if you're working remotely, can you not pretend like you're working? I know. I'm about to make some people mad now. I know. Can you not pretend like you're working? Can you not put that little penny or thing? I've heard people tell me all sorts of things of what they do to make sure it looks like they're working when they're working remotely and they're out getting their nails done or going to get their hair done or walking and doing other things other than actually being on the clock doing the work that they're being paid to do. I know. Don't get mad at me. I know. Don't get mad at me, people. I'm just speaking truth. Some of you are not doing your part and having a balanced perspective. You have an unbalanced perspective about why your career isn't where it needs to be or should be or where you want it to be. Where are you in this whole process, and what things can you do differently? Let's take the company off the table right now. We'll deal with that. Those of us who are professionals in this space of HR and D&I professionals, we'll work that. And I think we're in a better place than we were years ago, but we do still have a long way to go. I'm still working on that with companies, working with senior leaders. But I want to talk to you about you today. Those challenges are realistic. I understand that. And you know how I understand and I know it? I know it so well because I have melanated skin and I've had it my entire life. So guess what? I understand the discrimination. I have felt the impact of discrimination. But let's not focus on that today. Let's focus on you and that which is within your control. Think about this. There are many people with high pressure jobs, right? They find themselves unhappy even after in their career path they worked hard, despite working hard their whole lives to get to their current level, to get to that big salary, to be able to fly on those corporate jets and do all of those things. They're miserable. Then I think about the other end of the spectrum, where you have people who work hard. They work hard their entire lives. They work hard their entire lives to get to their current level and salary. They're miserable. But the other end of it is people who are in those entry level roles, people who are entry level positions, and they are not getting the next level opportunities. They are not getting to some other level that they want to get to, and they're unhappy and they're miserable. These are two extremes with a common emotional experience. That should say a lot. At least it says a lot to me, that people are miserable whether you're up high or you're at an entry level role. These two extremes have a common emotional experience. What is that common emotional experience? That common emotional experience is that challenge that they're facing. And it's reflected top of the house and bottom of the house, that human factor. So plugging in career as a part of the PESSCE Wholeness model was vital. Our decisions in this category of career, be it a high level C-suite job or frontline service worker, it has to come from a self-controlled place. Self-controlled decision making is really the core of the PESSCE Wholeness model. We want to make sure that anything we do in any of these categories is reflective of us making self-controlled decisions. It's a foundational piece of the model. If I am in a position and I'm not happy and I don't want to be in that position, then I've got to come up with a plan that's going to move me into a better place. Now, do company leaders still have to work to do better in treating people right and treating people with respect and valuing them? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's not what this discussion is about today. This today is not about how they, them, or thou and other folks treated you in the workplace. It's about you still being committed to your demonstration of wholeness in the workplace as you build or even rebuild your career path is what I want you to think about. So let me start with the question. Why do we even work? Why do we all have a job? We have a job. In most cases, we work to make money, to provide for our livelihood, correct? People work to make money. Money is needed for food, for our mortgages, our rent, to have fun with friends and family. It also even reflects independence, especially those of you who may have gotten your first job recently. Some of you are younger in the workplace. When you go to work, there's an expectation of just that. You work. And so often people work with the mindset they are doing the company a favor. And I don't necessarily understand that perspective. Really, you're doing them. They're giving you, you're getting money for the work that you do. Now, of course, you should be treated appropriately while working for that company. But the reality of it is you are working to receive a wage. Now, money isn't the only reason to work, by the way. Working also reflects independence, greater control over your own life. You even learn when you work in some cases, right? So another reason that we work is the solid reflection of being a member of society. We have to be a functioning member of society, and society has different segments with various opportunities for work. So this is where your career path comes in. And there's some things I want you to consider. If you're thinking about building your career path or you're trying to figure out a new path, first of all, number one, set some goals. Set some goals for yourself. And you want to make sure that the goals that you set are realistic goals. And that goal setting is going to require you to have a plan. And thinking about a plan means I got to write some things out. It can't just be in my head. I need to document that. And having a plan is going to really guide you down this career path if you're really thoughtful about it. You want to think about what environment you want to be in. Do I want to be in a corporate environment? Do I want to be in a healthcare environment? Do I want to be in a nonprofit? Do I want to have my own business? Whatever it is, be realistic about the environment and the skills that you bring to successfully do that work. You want to make sure those goals are realistic. And then When you think about that work environment, some of you may say, I can't work for somebody else. I don't want to be in a corporation. I don't even want to be in a nonprofit. That's all fine too. Knowing that you want to be an entrepreneur requires work as well. And starting a business requires work. You can't start a business and you haven't set yourself up appropriately. Do the work. Get you an accountant. Get a tax accountant. Set yourself up. Get a tax ID. Make sure get a bank account. Do all of those things. If you say you don't want to work for someone else, you're going to work for yourself. You can't just suddenly be an entrepreneur and you don't even have a plan. Write that business plan. Build the appropriate skills. And oh, by the way, building skills may require you to get some education. Okay. Be it going to a community college, be it going to a 4-year college, be it, getting certifications, whatever it is, get the needed skills. Stop fighting the system of having what you need to be successful. And stop trying to shift the blame that they're treating me wrong or they're requiring me to do this. Forget the they, them, and thou. Think about you and what things you need to do to be successful. Even thinking about your previous experience. Now, if your previous experience is something that does not align with the goals that you've set for yourself and the passion that you will have for the work, then you can just kind of let that go and start your new career path based on your passion. And that's another key thing. Find your passion. When you find that passion, if you work from a place of passion, you will do the work without even being paid to do it. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to work for free. That means you would do that work from a place of freedom. Understand that? That's a whole different concept where I want to work. I'm not going to work for free. I want to get paid, but I'm working from a place of freedom because I have a passion for the work that I'm doing. Okay, so those are just some key things to do when you're thinking about a career path. Assess your skill set. If you don't have the skills to do it, you can't do it. Some people tell me, I want to go into the music industry. I want to be a singer. And they really are not called to do that. And I'm not saying that people can't sing. People can sing in their own way. But to make a successful career of it may not be that path. Some people say, I want to be a doctor. But they don't even take the time to be considerate of the career path of becoming a doctor. That means that you have to go to school to get the appropriate education to better understand the aspects of the human body if you want to treat that human body. You want to work with animals. You want to be a vet. That's fine too. Go to school. Get the appropriate education to support the desires that you have. And then set those goals and move towards it. Identify core values for yourself and also think about the needs that you have for salaries. Some of us have salaries that far exceed what our needs are. And that's a beautiful thing. But in some cases, you might have to take a different path to get to where you want to go, which may require that salary come in at a different rate. Could be a little bit lower. And that's okay too, until you build up where you really, build up the skills in that area. Being successful in your career, I have some key things that I share with people all the time. Number one, you got to self-assess. You need to self-assess and be self-aware. How do you operate in certain environments? How do you handle when someone might not treat you as well as they should? This is where assessing yourself comes in, where I can determine what I can handle and what I cannot handle. And knowing that sometimes I might have to turn off that, I'm from Memphis and we talk about this all the time. I'm from Memphis, Maine, right? Anybody who's from Memphis knows what that means, right? Being from Memphis or being from an area where you're known for a certain thing or certain edginess, sometimes that edginess might need to be turned off if you're trying to figure out how to build that path for yourself to a successful career. Okay, where are you struggling? What may be causing you to feel a certain way in certain environments? Because of that environment, what is it about that's triggering you? You've got to be thoughtful about this and don't let the optics of an environment hinder you from being successful by creating negativity for yourself. They disrespected me and I didn't like it. Okay, I understand that. However, how are you going to still show up strong? How are you still going to demonstrate goodness for yourself? You have to make your own way. Even in starting your own business, you want to make sure you're showing up in the right way. The second thing, so self-assess, self-awareness, very important, even in whatever environment you're in. Number two, have a passion for the work. If you don't have passion for the work, you are not going to be successful in whatever the career path is. That's where that freedom comes in. I mentioned to you just a few minutes ago. Having passion means I'll do this work and you don't even have to pay me to do it. Doesn't mean you're going to work for free, but it means I'm working from a place of freedom. Okay? Passion for that work. Thirdly, authenticity. Yes, yes, yes. You want to be your true authentic self every single day of the week. You know, people have asked me about the whole concept of code switching, where you have to become someone else. I don't think you have to become someone else in the workplace. You can be your authentic self, but you have to also remember I'm operating in a society where there are societal norms. So we want to operate from a place of societal norms, but also being true to ourselves. That's where the concept of separation of church and state comes in, right? What does that mean in the context of what we're talking about here? Separation of church and state, separation of personal and professional. You do want to maintain authenticity at work, but you want to also be able to determine where you draw that line, right? There are some things that you want to make sure that you're thinking about in how you are drawing that line in the sand when it comes to being your authentic self in the workplace, okay? You also want to make sure you're vulnerable. You know, that vulnerability, sorry about that. There's some pros and cons of being open and vulnerable. For leaders, it's important because it helps to engage people. It helps people to want to be a part of your team and see you in a different way and different light. So be thoughtful about that vulnerability, especially if you are looking to be in a leadership role. And being vulnerable is it's an important aspect of building credibility. This does not mean that you share everything. However, it does mean that you do your part to be an engaging person, especially if you're looking to be in a leadership role. Okay. You also want to be thoughtful about how I'm showing up as being trustworthy. How am I showing up as being someone who people trust to do the work and being honest? That means, like I said earlier, you can't be saying, can't say I'm working from home and you really aren't working. And then you get mad when people assess your performance and give you a lower performance rating and then move you up the ladder on that progressive disciplinary process. I'm sorry, get mad at me if you want, but I'm just trying to speak truth here. Don't put all the work on the company to treat you a certain way when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We all have to do our part. We all have to create a culture that is a culture that is considerate of all people. And if I want to be considered in the right way and I want to be valued, what am I doing differently? So my career wholeness is going to be reflective of me being honest in my assessment of myself that I might need to do things a little bit differently in the workplace. It's not always on the organization to do something different. Okay. Be open to the thoughts that I'm sharing with you today. If you really are considering changing of career or you're starting out in your career. When you are working in an organization, giving consideration of also exiting an organization is also an important thing. And this is the last thing I'll talk about today. You want to leave a job in the right way. Now, this isn't for them. It isn't for the company. It's for you. I would not want to be a person who left a company in a way that reflects an ugliness, right? We want to make sure that we leave in the right way. Now, I am not saying by any means in giving notice and those types of things that you got to give a 2-week notice. I'm not rigid in my thought process like that. However, I think you need to give some level of notice. And I know I'm going to get pushback on this because there are many people in our current state who have a totally different mindset about exiting a company and will leave without any kind of notice. I think that is unprofessional of you as an individual and it reflects poorly on you. Forget whether or not you think they may do you wrong by just exiting you when they feel like it and they don't give you notice and they let you go. That's irrelevant because we're talking about you today. And oh, by the way, while we're on that, you do get notice in some cases that you're going to be exited because you get performance reviews. And if your performance reviews aren't well, that means you're probably on a path of exiting. Okay. So I'm not one that sides one way or the other with an employer versus an employee. As a human resources professional, I know I stand in the gap between both. So I always try and give both perspectives. So sometimes you are exited from your organization because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. And stop telling those lies when you go tell the story to your family and friends that they just let you go. Now we know there may have been some other things going on, and let's just speak truth. Okay, let's try and find a balance. Now, that's just one little nugget. I'm not going to stay on that one. I want to get back to you. for you in giving me pushback on this point, just remember giving some level of notice of your desire to move on or leave is for you, not for them. That's all I'll say about that. How much time you give, that's up to you. Putting it in writing, that's up to you. I recommend it because it just demonstrates a different level of when they go low, I go high. Even if you're leaving because they did you wrong, go high, don't go low. Okay? Think about how you can show up in a way that still gets you um, 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 recommendations if you need that. So try and leave in the right way. If you feel like you don't need it, that's fine too. I still want you to show up as a good person. That's wholeness. If I show up as a good person and I leave in the right way, that's going to demonstrate goodness for me. Now, the last thing I'll mention is this quiet quitting. Everybody's talking about quiet quitting, right? For those of you who are not familiar with it, I want to talk about it. I want to, answer the question, is it good or is it bad? So quiet quitting, for those of you who are not familiar with it, this describes when an employee basically refuses to go above and beyond their work. I'm going to do this and that's it, no more. Now, some people have taken quiet quitting to a totally different level where they're barely even doing that which they're supposed to do. So I don't even know what to call that. That's a new term I'm sure we'll come up with in the next few months or years. But this quiet quitting concept is where you have individuals who basically are not necessarily leaving the job, but they are refusing to do anything extra. And this term came to be as a part of the rationale for the Great Resignation, or the America's sustained willingness to quit their jobs in search of better jobs during the pandemic, and that has continued to linger now, even post the window of the true pandemic time frame. And people are just very laid back and complacent in the work that they're doing or not doing. So that is what's considered quiet quitting. So people have asked me, Dr. Angela, what are your thoughts on quiet quitting? Is it good or bad? Because people have posted videos about you being a horrible person if you quiet quit. Some people have said, no, that's the way to go because I'm not even giving notice. I'm just going to quietly do what I'm supposed to do, and then I'm going to be out of here, and I'm not even going to give them notice. So all of those things are happening. My thoughts on whether it's good or bad, I don't think it's necessarily good. I don't necessarily think it's bad. I think that it is unacceptable behavior if you are not doing the work that you are being paid to do. If you are doing just that which you are paid to do, that's fine. But I think if it's with the intent of ultimately leaving, then create your plan and leave, and not create these dynamics of making other people who are doing work and who are going above and beyond, who actually like their jobs, who actually like the career path they're on, you're making everybody look a certain way. That means you're not considering anybody but yourself, and that's more of a self-focus. Now, keep in mind, I said earlier, I'm not talking about companies. Companies need to treat people right. That is a given. I am 100% on the bandwagon of treat people with value and respect. That's not what this conversation is about today. This conversation is about you and your decision making on how you're going to show up and how you're going to walk your career path and be in this place of wholeness in how you show up in the workplace. And if you don't want to be in the workplace, finding your path to exit. If you want to have your own business, finding your path to create a true business that's a legitimate business. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say to you today. You got to make sure that you're whole in whatever you do. And that means I'm making clear, solid decisions in the things that I'm doing in light of career wholeness. Career wholeness is one of the key components of peace, wholeness, physical, emotional, spiritual, social, career, and economic wholeness. You've got to find that for yourself. Now, I am doing this session today live, and that's all I'm going to cover right now for this topic. But I want to see if there are any questions. If I can just figure out how to get to, my Facebook page as well as YouTube Live, I will answer any questions. I see I have a comment, but I don't even know how to get to it. So I'm going to try and figure it out. If someone can help me and send me a text message if you're watching and you're in my personal circle, that would be great. If you could send it my way, I would really appreciate that. Let's see if I can find that over here on this side. Would love to answer any questions that you have or take in any comments. Any questions or comments? Thank you, Ruby Crutchfield. I am hoping that people are seeing this as good work. I'm trying to keep up the good work. Any questions or comments? And even if you are watching this via recording after my live, please drop those comments or questions in the comment section, and I will be sure to go back and review those and respond appropriately. Questions or comments related to career wholeness and what this whole thing is all about? All right. Well, I am not going to stay on if there are no questions or comments, but I do hope this information is helpful for you all and help to give you a better understanding of the whole concept around PESSCE Wholeness. There's so many more things that I cover with individuals who are coaching clients. So if you're interested in becoming a coaching client and you want to know more about the PESSCE Wholeness model and how that can apply to your life, please don't hesitate to shoot me a message via inbox or send me an email to admin@crutchfieldgroupllc.com. Please reach out. I will be happy to help you. Also, if you're interested in being a part of the upcoming retreat that I'm hosting a PESSCE Wholeness retreat at the Glamp Inn, September 15th through 17th. If you're looking to jumpstart your wholeness journey, please don't hesitate to sign up for that. Registration information will be coming out this week. If you are unable to make that session or the numbers fill up quickly, which I think are already almost there, we have a small capacity for these type events. The next one will be in November. So if you're interested in a glamping experience as well as understanding where you are in your journey for wholeness and jumpstarting your journey, please don't hesitate to sign up for that. Or if you want an individual customized retreat, I do offer those as well. You can have that at the Lincolnton, Georgia location at the Glamp Inn, or I can customize it for you in Tampa, Florida, Nashville, Tennessee, Los Angeles, California, or Boston, Massachusetts. So just let me know if you are interested in jumpstarting your path to wholeness, PESSCE Wholeness. Don't hesitate to reach out. Hey there, Antoinette. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So we want to make sure that we are really, really taking the appropriate steps to find that wholeness. And Antoinette said she just completed a career coaching session. Oh yes, I would love to chat, Antoinette. Would love to be able to connect with you on any things that you're working on. Would happily join in with you. So my focus today again is about wholeness. Wholeness is about making self-controlled decisions in that career space. It's not necessarily about how people treat you. It's not even necessarily about having applying for jobs and all of that is a part of making sure you're on that path and finding the right employment. But where are you as an individual? Are you whole? Because you'll find a job and be miserable if you haven't found that peace place for yourself. So that's what we want to make sure we focus in on. I'm here to help. I will make sure that anyone who comes to me, I'm willing to I'm all in once I start working with you. I'm willing to help you as much as I can. Just make sure you reach out. All right. Thank you all so much. Those of you who are joining me live, and then those of you who may watch this recording, thank you so much for taking the time to join me, and anything I can do to be of help to you, looking forward to doing that. Okay. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday evening.